In this presentation, we are looking at the concept of appropriation in the visual arts. What is the difference between being inspired by something versus copying something? So here's an example. Is this legal? This was a photo or an image from Pinterest.com, and this is the student's own artwork. What is the original? Again, is this legal? This is the original photo from the internet, and this is what the student created based on that photo. So should students in visual art classes be allowed to copy their favorite cartoon characters? If nothing is original, then why not just steal shamelessly? So appropriation in art. It's a concept that's actually explored in postmodern art. Postmodern art really took hold in the 1960s and 1970s. The thought is if nothing is original, then why not just steal shamelessly, right? Just admit you stole this idea. So appropriation is an important historical practice in art making, where artists use a previously existing form, image, or sound in a new way. So here's an example. We have this photograph here of this lovely couple, and they are holding a bunch of puppies. And this is a sculpture that was created by Jeff Koons. This is a painting by Frida Kahlo. And this is another painting in a different style. This is a still from the Little Mermaid animated movie. And this is the reworked scene by another artist where they inserted the grumpy cat. This is a sculpture by Rodin. This is the advertisement for a car. So the creative effort is defined by the inspired selection and manipulation of the found materials. The found materials would be the original source. This could be a photograph, a painting, a drawing, a sculpture. And with appropriation, the end result is strangely familiar, yet an altogether new creation. The differences between appropriation, imitation, and copying, and we're going to look at all three. So appropriation in the visual arts, this is where it's the deliberate reproduction of or elements of another artist's work. The artist is copying artworks for their own artistic expression. The artist is using previously existing form, but in a new way. So they're essentially borrowing it. You can kind of see in this example here, this is a street art created by Banksy. This is a still from the movie Pulp Fiction, but the guns have been replaced with bananas. Now, this is not being presented in the form of a movie still image, right? This has been turned into a stenciled painting. Appropriation involves adopting intellectual property from elsewhere. It borrows photos, imagery, forms, and styles from art history or popular culture. So here we have Batman, but it's in the style of Vincent van Gogh. So it's appropriating the style of Vincent van Gogh, but it's presenting the concept of Batman in a new way. Now, copying in the visual arts. This is where the artist copies an existing artwork, just straight on copies it. It is a common practice of learning techniques. You can see this sometimes in museums across Europe where people literally set up a sketchbook or a canvas with paint and they literally study the artwork and they work alongside it. It does help develop technical skills and it can be part of the training to be an artist. The end result, though, is kept for the artists themselves. It's not being sold for profit. They're not going to sell this work claiming that it is their own original idea. It might be created by them, but it's not their original composition. This was an older painting that was copied by Vincent van Gogh. You can see some changes have been made, and this is painted in Vincent van Gogh's style. Here we have another example of a painting that's been copied. This is a great example. They have this illustration and it's being copied using watercolor, and perhaps the artist is copying it to practice how you created lights and darks using the skin tone. Now, imitating in the visual arts. This is where it's direct forgery. The intent is to deceive the viewer, right? To make the viewer think that you created that work of art. The artwork is trying to be the original, and famous artworks are often imitated. The end product is to be sold for big money. Now, the difference between appropriation and imitation, because it sounds similar, is the artist is openly showing their authorship. Appropriation, they are openly showing that they have appropriated this artwork versus just trying to imitate it. Forgery is creating something and claiming it to be your own. Now, this is where we get into a weird area between imitating and copying. So, the illustrations of the dogs, these are the original drawings of the dogs by an illustrator, but yet they were copied and imitated on t-shirts, and they were being sold on the internet for cheap price. So, you can find this a lot on Temu, which is a website where you can buy all sorts of products for pretty cheap. They're pretty much produced in China. And we have a t-shirt design sold on Temu. This is the original painting created by the artist. And when you look at this, you do start to wonder, where did the image first come from? Who owns that image? If the artist failed to declare copyright, does that mean it's open for anyone to use? And how can the artist claim that this is the design they created, right? When the design on the t-shirt looks pretty spot on. This happened in the news recently. A artist said their designs were stolen and sold on Temu. So this is the original design created by the artist. This is the one being sold on Temu. Here's another example. My art has been blatantly stolen by Temu. Please do not trust that site. If you see these, please report them. So this artist is claiming that they created these paintings and yet they're being sold cheaply on Temu. And this even is happening with 3D works of art, such as this dress. This is the dress they created. This is the one being sold on Temu. So with appropriation, copying, and imitating, it's about the intention of the artist. Are they paying homage to the work? Are they just learning a technical skill? Are they making a comment about the artist's work? Or are they trying to pass off somebody else's creation as their own? So what is proper appropriation? It's where we're transforming the artwork, we're changing the technique or the media, we're changing the context. That means maybe how the artwork is being used or how you view the artwork. It might be a parody. So this is an example of a painting by Kehinde Wiley. And you can see he has transformed the artwork by changing the background, and yet Kehinde Wiley is appropriating it for his own needs. This is a print on a t-shirt, but the design was created by Banksy. This looks like the Mona Lisa, and yet this is the painting of the Mona Lisa. This is a sculpture. It says Amour, and it is based off a sculpture called Love, created by Robert Indiana. Now, generally, courts have said that a new artwork is not an infringement of copyright as long as the new work is considered transformative. So here's an example of appropriation in art. Was it appropriation? These are examples by a street artist named Shepard Fairey. He's an American street artist who uses primarily stencils and spray paint in his work. He's a graphic designer and illustrator. He's founder of the Obey clothing line, and he often incorporates found photos and imagery, but he's been accused of plagiarism several times. So he is a political and environmental activist, and many of his artworks advocate for awareness and change on many topics such as gun control, climate change, racism, and war. You can see somebody using his own artwork, right, for a protest poster, and he provides many of his poster designs for free on his website and through other media, so they can be used as a tool. Now, this is a photograph of Barack Obama. This was before he became president. It was taken by an Associated Press photographer. And this is the portrait Shepard Fairey made of Obama, and this was actually used for the 2008 election. So Shepard Fairey actually faced a civil suit from the photographer and a criminal suit because Shepard Fairey lied about copying the photo. Actually, one of the originals by Shepard Fairey hangs in the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. Fairey claimed that the use of the photo falls under the fair use rule. In art, fair use means the conditions that allow you to use material that is copyrighted by someone else without paying royalties. So is this an appropriation or a copy? Here's another example. Shepard Fairey created this poster called Rise Above, and this is a photograph he appropriated from. So the takeaways. Appropriation has its purpose for both pictorial and conceptual motivations, right? We can use appropriation to transform the artwork, to make a statement, to change the meaning of the artwork. It's changing the context of an image or an object, which impacts the meaning. And is being original possible or even desirable? And how can we be inspired by another artist's creation without imitating or copying it? If we are imitating an artwork, what is the purpose? Are we amazed by the artwork? Do we just want it for ourselves? Do we wish to be as creative as that artwork? What is the intention?